everyone, I'm Lily. I'm a social worker with CPS, Child Protective Services, also known as DCSF or CWS. And I'm here to talk to you today about Danielle Cohen. So, I'm not sure I've mentioned it before, but I am a huge fan of Josh at the Dad Challenge podcast. And he talks a lot about child exploitation, and this girl has come up on his videos a lot. Um, Actually, the reason that I got inspired to make this channel is because he had a live going about some other children, a case of abuse, and he wanted a CPS perspective. So I jumped in on his live and like answered his questions. He brought her up, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, she knows about it." Well, yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of his. I watch his videos. And yesterday he had a video on about her. So for those of you that know nothing about this girl, she is a 15-year-old girl. She's been a social media influencer for a while. Um, I believe since she was 11, she's been around when TikTok was still called Musically before they changed their name. So um, she had like little dancing videos that were like totally okay for her being 11 years old. And then all of a sudden she went from being 11 to being 13 just suddenly. um and so mom added 2 years to her age, probably to be able to get sponsorships or be able to use the apps, because I guess you're supposed to be 13 and older for some of these apps. I'm not exactly sure, but it's been a big controversy because this girl is very highly sexualized. She's posing in bikinis and lingerie. She's promoting, doing advertisements for Bang energy drink, and for I believe I've seen her do like sponsorship with underwear, a brand of underwear. So in this video, I guess somebody's doing like a documentary type video, and she's talking about, having so many followers and how she's like trying to run business. And her mom sends her to this meeting with these adult men by herself, which is very concerning since she's like 14, 15 around this time, and that these videos were being taken. So there's a lot of concern. So I went back and I wanted to check the laws for child exploitation and see if this would be something that can fall under it. So I am in California, just as well as this girl. They live in LA, so it's the same laws that I'm familiar with in my job. I went a little bit more in depth just because it's not something that comes up very often. And before going into the law, let me just say, so when we get an allegation of a child that's being sexually abused or exploited, being pimped out, or doing online sex work online, whatever it is. So if there is any concerns that the child is being groomed or anything like that, that's something that we would look into. So we have an online tool, research based, that we use to kind of like score the concern from 0 to 30 something. How, are we very high, no concern. So I'm pretty sure if we did the questionnaire for this girl, she would score super high. Receiving money or gifts from older men, having a cell phone not provided by her parents, most likely not being in school, dressing too provocatively for her age, being engaged in sex with older men. She was 14, 15 at the time. She had an 18-year-old boyfriend. I believe now that she's 15, her boyfriend's 19. She has the boyfriend living at her house a lot of the time. So she would score super high on this screening, where we see what the concern level would be. Now, this is just a screening tool. This is not what determines if something can be done about it. For that, we need to go to the law. So to determine if children can be removed from the parents. The state of California uses the Welfare and Institutions Codes, section 300. So for sexual exploitation is 300B2. So in this section, it describes that a parent that knowingly allows their child, promotes it, or allows it to happen for the child to be sexually exploited, then the child can be removed from their care. And this is, children, youth up to 18 years old. The this section, the description of what these sexual acts are, they send you to another section of the law, and then that sends you to another one. It's a rabbit hole. None of it makes sense because it's all lawyer speak. So I did my best to go through, and basically what I found is that the closest one that would relate, because as far as I know, I haven't seen that anybody has any proof that she is actually engaging in sexual acts for money, or that I don't believe the mom's like physically pimping her out. I think it's more of the online persona. Sorry, my camera's falling. So what I did find that most closely relates to it is exploitation by allowing subject matter, which means videos, pictures, that depicts sexual content, including a minor. So that's basically child pornography. And I don't think it qualifies, or she would fall under the statute, because it basically needs to depict the actual engaging in an act or simulating engaging in a sexual act. So this code that describes what is the obscene acts, it's basically a full-on sexual act, including any sort of penetration or mouth, genitals, and you could make the argument that her sexy pictures, even though it's not a sexual act in itself, it's a simulation, that she could, dancing provocatively on some videos, that could be interpreted that way. But it is such a, it's kind of a reach to fall under that law, that the mom's attorney would be very easily able to contradict that in court. So I don't believe that she would be able to fall under the Sexual Exploitation Act. There might be, as more information comes out, that might be a different assessment. But I do think that there is definitely the concern for statutory rape, because both of her boyfriends that I've heard about through the Dad Challenge podcast have been adults. So I did look into that law as well, and it basically breaks it down into different sections. So the first three are the ones that I think would apply or may apply to her situation, where it says any sexual contact between a person under 18 and a person over 18 it's rape in the state of California. So if there is an age difference of less than 3 years, so let's say he's 18, she's 15 or 16, that would be a misdemeanor with up to a year in jail. And more than 3 years, but the kid is no younger than 14. Okay, so that was my take about the legalities, the CPS aspect of it on her situation. I know there's been mention that there's been 30 cases. Now, I do want to differentiate that there was probably 30 investigations. That's separate from a case. A case is once there's been found to be an issue, and then you are assigned a worker that will follow your family, where the child would then come out of the home or stay in the home with the agency involvement and a social worker checking in on you regularly. An investigation or an allegation of abuse, once somebody calls the child abuse hotline and generates an allegation, that can be assigned to an investigator that has 30 days to look into it, or it can be dismissed and just put in the log, logged into the system and be dismissed, saying, it's either old information that's already been investigated, or it's something that doesn't constitute abuse. Like if somebody calls saying, this lady's exploiting her because she's being forced to make videos, well, that there's nothing in the law about that, so it wouldn't fall under any type of abuse. So that would be in that. So they don't get, these records don't disappear. That, so we make a record, it might not get investigated, but at some point when something comes through that is able to be assigned and investigated, they're going to look at all that history and say, whoa, there's been a lot of concern in this family. So anytime that you have concern about a child, do make a report. It might not get anywhere this time, but all of this history is written down and saved. So it does make a difference. It will eventually make a difference. So I hope I answered your questions regarding this topic. Leave me a comment if there's anything else you'd like to know about. And that's it for today. Bye.